Have you ever played a game that has always just had this simple and fun concept, but that's about it, and you move on from it, and you'll come back to it from time to time? Well, if you ask me what that game was, without a skip of my heart, and without a single regret, I would tell you that game is 2048 or 2048, whatever way you want to say. Sorry, I had to get the echo out of my voice. You see, the reason I believe this game clicked with everyone so much is because it has a premise that everyone could understand. You start with 2, you combine with another 2, you make 4. You combine with 4, you make 8. When you combine with 8, you make 16, and so on and so forth until finally you reach 2048. And that is when you, quote unquote, win the game. No, you're thinking, Enemy Striker, this game has such a simple premise. How could you squeeze a whole 10 to 20 minute video out of this? Well, dear viewer, that is not because of the original game in and of itself. It is because of the absolute outpour of games online that have taken the original source code for 2048 and just sprite swapped and a couple anomalies. But all of that will need to be explained in this little short brief history of what 2048 came to be, where the developer is today, and then we'll talk about the fan games. On March 9th, 2014, indie game developer Gabriel Cerulli, hopefully I said that right, launched 2048, a small indie passion project game that he had been working on in JavaScript. And the game was released to immediate impact and success. Almost 3 days after the release of 2048, 28,000 people were playing 2048. I'm gonna call it 2048 through the rest of this episode. I know it's not the name of the game, it's just what I've been calling it, so yeah. As an example here of how fast this game took off, here's the original tweet from Gabriel saying, "I just released a game I built called 2048, check it out." And the exact next day, the first tweet he makes is, "Damn, such an overwhelming reaction to 2048 today. Thanks everyone." If you were to keep up with Gabriel's Twitter timeline, however, you'd soon see a big problem arising with 2048. And that was the way the game was released in and of itself. Let's go back to that tweet that was released on the release date of the game. Computer, enhance. Oh my god. For those unaware of the programming world or just getting into programming, GitHub is a site that is about shared programming projects. Now, it also hosts solo programming projects, but GitHub is technically made for group programming projects. That means that solo projects uploaded on the site will go up with their source code, which is the exact problem that Gabriel was having. If we look at this tweet he made after the release of 2048 about a scam game that was getting false downloads, you can tell very easily that the reason that this game was able to exist is because the source code for 2048 existed online. Now, luckily, Google was actually able to do their job here on the Play Store and remove the game, so good on you. Let's get a slow clap for Google. But, I mean, they still keep up hundreds of other games that take intellectual properties of other creators and try to claim them as their own in a very crappy 2-minute thrown together game fashion, so maybe let's not. Now that we have concluded the biography bit of 2048 video, we should get into the game bits. When it comes to 2048 fan games, there are 2 categories: sprite swaps and source code tweaks. Source code tweaks are a game that takes the original 248 code and kind of just modifies it to make it its own thing. And sprite swaps are very self-explanatory. They take the 248 assets and they just completely change them and ship it off as a new game. Some of these will have UI improvements, but most of all, it's nothing spectacular. first we're going to start off with the most notable sprite swap of 248 or 2048 or 2048. At this point in the video, I'm just calling it 248. And that is Doge 248 or Doji 248. However you say it, Doge 248 is what I'll be calling it. This game is the most recognized sprite swap of 248. Don't ask me why it is, it just is. It's probably because Doge is one of the most recognizable internet icons to ever exist. Before you tell me it's just a silly internet thing, you always have to remember that they almost invented a cryptocurrency after Doge. So don't you go and tell me that Doge isn't a big thing, okay? It's one of the most recognizable symbols in pop culture, and it makes absolute sense that this is the most known 248 sprite swap. Besides that, it's very faithful 248 sprite swap. It's just, you start at plain image of Doge, winking, and you go up to, like, more Doges, and as they go on, the pictures get, I guess, memeier, or cuter, or whatever you want to call them. It's just 248 at the end of the day. And that's about all I can say about it. Except every time you, I guess this is for every time you combine two, it has a Comic Sans text blob that says something that's very reminiscent of an old Doge game. Yeah, there's not much to say about this one that already hasn't been said. Next game. Next up here we have Mario 248. This one is cool sprite swap for a reason. It's because it starts at very 8-bit Mario, then you go to Mario 2 Mario, then Mario 3 Mario, then Mario World Mario, then Mario 64 Mario, and so on and so forth, until you finally reach 2048 Mario, which is, I'm assuming, the newest rendition of Mario. This one's just cool from the way that it respects the history of Mario in a good way, and, yeah, very solid game, just like 248 again. Just with some cool Mario elements. Next, I'm going to refer to these as the popular games collection of 2048 games. These are just 2048 sprite swaps with popular games. We have Fortnite on the right and Among Us on the left. Pick your team, and that's about all I can say about these two. 2048 Cupcake Edition is one of the coolest and most delicious versions of 2048 sprite swaps. This one adds two new UI elements telling you what the max cupcake you are on and what the cupcake you currently are moving is on. This one's really cool. The score is called Stal. I think that's something in baking terms, but I'm not that smart when it comes to baking, so don't ask me. I think the new UI on this one is cool. I definitely like the PNG images for this one. I know that we're really rating these games based on PNG images, but really that's all they are. So I think that the cupcakes look very HD in this one. Overall, this is another really well-known sprite swap. Good game. 2048 Animated Edition is basically someone saying, hey, I like graphic design, and this is definitely the most well-made sprite swap of 2048, if it not being the most well-known one. It's very visually pleasing, definitely more visually pleasing than even the Cupcake one in Doge 2048, and it's a solid way to end off the sprite swap section of the 2048 video. 16,384 hex is 2048, but with 8 directional movement. That's literally what the game is. It is a hex grid with 8 directional movement. And honestly, that mechanic is fairly fun to play around with. If it takes a bit to get used to the controls, especially because it uses Q, W, E, D, C, X, C, and A, and it completely excludes S. It took me a minute to realize that, but once you get the hang of the controls, this is a really fun 2048 hack. Go check it out. I'm pretty sure you can get it just by searching 2048 Happy. This game is just called 2048, but it has been dubbed 2048 AI Edition because, well, it is basically a auto-runnable version of 2048. By pressing the button in the top right corner of the screen, you can switch to an auto-run AI control of 2048. Also, if you'd want to just play a perfect game of 2048 yourself, you can click Get Hint and it will tell you what directional key to press. A very cool project. I'm just a bit weirded out by why they didn't call it 2048 AI Edition, because the game seems a lot harder to find now because it's just called 2048. 2048 Tetris is one of the most known 2048 source code tweaks. And you know what? Rightfully so. 2048 Tetris takes an already known game and mixes it with another already known game to make one of the funnest 2048 experiences of all time. The game plays just like Tetris, but with a twist. You can stack blocks just in the way that you can 2048 until you get 2048 as a Tetris tile. You could also do the little side movement by moving a block or tile directly into each other like you can in the original Tetris. This game is very fun, and it's really well known, and there's not much more to say about it. Other than, actually, it has a difficulty tweaker. I found that pretty cool, because most of them don't include difficulties. Big Number is what I'm going to refer to as this 2048 game. Big Number is 2048 on a bigger grid. That's literally all this game is. I don't know. I don't know. I found it cool. That's literally all I can say about this one. These 2048 playing games are really starting to hurt my brain. And you know, I think it's a perfect time to close the video. I've talked about a lot of the things I want to talk about in this video, and it's always been a topic I want to talk about ever since I discovered Doge 248, which is about now maybe 5 months ago. So this video has kind of been coming for a long time. I'm not saying I've been working on it that long, but I'm saying that I always wanted to talk about this somehow. 2048 is a good example of why that one game can just turn into a whole genre of game. Even when Bandai Namco got the rights to Tamagotchi and did their reboot on mobile, they added a 2048 minigame in Tamagotchi. 2048 is a very popular game now on app stores and is most popular on mobile phones. Gabriel Cerule's last tweet was about 2048 being available on the popular HTML5 platform Poki. And that is basically where the story ends. That tweet is almost been about a year ago now, and it's kind of the final time we've heard from Gabriel Cerule, 2048 developer, publicly. Maybe he'll return someday with another 2048 update or something. But until then, peace out, gamers. Alright, so I just kind of want to say hi here and talk for a bit. So just gonna let the music play and card just kind of chill. This is probably the project that has taken me the most time to do on my channel, and I felt a lot more proud, finishing this, and eventually I'm going to upload it later today, than I have with my Let's Play and news videos and my review videos. And I'm gonna stick to this, I think, for a long time. So, to 19 of you watching, one of them being my alt account, I didn't say that, thank you. And I am going to do my best to continue and make better content. Peace out. By the way, all music used is in the description.